Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. Once again, we are combining all of the news sections for a little while here, just to get less news content on the channel when you search for it and more Linux content. So longer videos, but all of the timestamps are in the video description. So if you want to jump ahead or scan ahead, and I actually have the timestamps as well sectioned off so you can see what's privacy, what is security, what is AI, what is business, and what is silly. All of that stuff is linked in the description. So if you want to see just certain articles, go ahead and jump on down there. And with that, though, we are going to go ahead and get jumping right on into Z News, which is recorded live Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't been to the channel for a while, that is a new time. We pushed it down 1 hour. So let's go ahead and get started. First up, a new privacy deal allows U.S. tech giants to continue storing European data on American servers. Kind of like, TikTok's a big problem. TikTok's a big problem. TikTok is a big problem. Closed door meeting with TikTok and the NSA. TikTok's no longer a problem. Yeah. So, transatlantic data privacy framework gives Europeans a way to file a complaint about what U.S. firms do with their data. So 3 years after the 2020 court decision threatened to grind transatlantic e-commerce to a halt, EU has adopted a plan that will allow U.S. tech giants to continue storing data about EU users on American soil. Decision announced Monday, the EU Commission approved the transatlantic data privacy framework. Under the terms of the deal, the U.S. will establish a court. Europeans can engage if they feel a U.S. tech firm violated their data privacy rights. Baby Sniffer in Chief announced the creation of the Data Protection Review Court in an executive order he signed last fall after eating an ice cream cone. The court can order the deletion of user data and impose other remedial measures. The framework also limits access to EU users by U.S. intelligence agencies. Isn't that great? Of course they don't. They just, that MI8 just goes and gets it from the big tech companies. Duh. So this is part of that big deal where they're talking about getting rid of, all these services over there unless the companies develop the servers. They're kind of like what China always does. You have to have that data stored in China for the Chinese company to operate. And this caused a little bit of ruffling, but now it's getting to the point where it's like, it's getting to that point where nobody really cares. There's closed doors deals going on with all the governments. Of course, there was that case here in the U.S. a few weeks ago where the court said no more meetings between the government and big tech companies, but another judge just overturned that last week. And so now they can have these closed door meetings again. It's just like, guys, if anyone who is still running around on social media and giving up all of your data, I'm sorry, you're insane. You're just insane, honestly. All right, and next up, a couple stories over here in Massachusetts. Massachusetts is doing things, and if they didn't also just recently ban you being able to throw away your jeans, true story, I thought they could not have gone that crazy. It is true. In Massachusetts, if your jeans are, get destroyed, you can no longer throw them away in the trash can. But notwithstanding nonsense, they are pushing a few things that are not quite as nonsense. The movement to limit face recognition tech might finally get a win. Massachusetts bill restricting police use could set the standard for how technology is regulated in America. If it fails, it'll be a blow to a once promising movement. Now, I was reading through this article. What's interesting is the local and municipal police cannot use it, but state police can. Leads me to believe that Massachusetts probably seems to have a police system like Pennsylvania. Different states have different police forces. Here in Pennsylvania, we have municipal police, we have county police, and we have state police. And so a state police officer has jurisdiction in the entire state of Pennsylvania, no matter where he's at. A sheriff has jurisdiction anywhere in the county, wherever he's at, and the municipal has jurisdiction only in their municipality or joint municipality. So like State College, there's no police in Harris Township. There's no police in Let's see, there's no police in Harris Township. There is police in State College Borough. There is police in Ferguson. There is police in Patton. But all of those police districts, since those are basically the four main counties, there's College Township too, which I do not believe College Township has police. So there is a agreements between the municipalities, since those five townships are really right next to each other completely. All of those police forces have jurisdiction in all of their respective townships. So Patton can go assist Ferguson. Ferguson can assist College. College can assist Patton. And likely it's College or Ferguson that's going to respond to Harris, and probably Patton and College, which is going to respond, or Patton and College Borough is going to respond to College Township. And so the police has different jurisdictions where and when and how they can operate, whereas the county sheriff can operate anywhere in the county. And so this is kind of what it looks like. So as I was reading through this, it says that the municipal police, like the local police, they say cannot access facial recognition outside of very, very stringent things. But it does indicate in here that the state police can. So not quite as much of a win as one might think, but hey, if we cut out some of the police departments, at least some of it, at one point in time. So the idea is, of course, is that several places have tried to ban it. Some have banned it. Many of them have overturned it, but facial recognition is an invaluable tool for law enforcement, albeit it is a very questionable tool and a problematic tool, especially when you have services like Clearview AI, and what I found nobody at the conference knew about was Palantir, Peter Thiel's group, which basically utilizes a Clearview AI type approach, only they're not scraping my face right now. Little did you guys know this is just a mask. I've just been wearing it for years. I'm really an alien. But Clearview AI is scraping the faces that are on the internet. What Palantir is doing is making tabs and logs about social media interactions and all sorts of things for anybody and everybody under the sun. And so that's what Palantir is doing. But with services like Palantir and Clearview AI offering their databases to law enforcement, it raises a lot of concern, especially when it's easy to create an account under somebody else's name, or it's easy to do deep fakes, or in some cases, particularly of those with darker complexion, the facial recognition is not quite as useful, and a lot of people have been arrested based on this dubious amount of data. But there are some cases going on in Massachusetts seeking to limit the usage. So over the next year, 6 more Massachusetts cities, including Boston, Cambridge, Springfield, approved bans on police and government use of facial recognition. Some cities even did so preemptively. In Boston, for example, police say they were not using the technology when it was banned. Major tech companies, including Amazon, Microsoft, and IBM, pulled the technology for themselves, and civil liberties advocates were pushing for a nationwide ban on its use. Yeah, I think they pulled it from the public shelves. I have a sneaky suspicion that being is that police have a backdoor to Amazon's Ring network, I'm pretty sure they can still use the facial recognition, being is that Ring has facial recognition in it, in case you didn't know. So, that's always that. But not to be undone, I don't know why I just switched those instead of that. Not to be undone, Massachusetts is also looking at banning selling of location data. This would be the first such law in the nation. Massachusetts state legislature is concerning a bill that would ban the sale of users' phone location data. If passed, the Location Shield Act would be the first such law in the nation as Congress stalls on comprehensive user privacy solutions on a national scale. States' proposed legislation would also require a warrant for law enforcement to access user location. All right, so that's decent. So I can't remember if it's this article or another one I was reading where they actually made the argument there's no legitimate use for the data brokers selling data. And I think that's the first thing. Congress needs to ban the data brokers. Ban the data brokers, ban the trading and sale of any data. If somebody gives you data, you may only use it explicitly for the services asked for. You may not make any other money on it. And we might just put a lot of people out of jobs. You know what? Figure something else out. Why not? Location Shield Act, backed by the ACLU and various progressive pro-choice groups, see a greater urgency to block the dissemination of user location in a post-Dobbs world. Oh my God! As if conservatives are the ones you have to worry about necessarily. But again, as I've said before, if this is what it takes to get people to wake up to the fact that you do actually have something to hide, if you have to worry about the powers that be tracking you while you attempt to murder the child growing inside of you, and that's what it takes to wake up your eyes to privacy and the fact you do have something to hide, well, so be it. Okay. Silver lining to even that cloud, I guess. But as red states increasingly criminalize abortions, oh my God. Concerns have grown over the transfer of user data to catch women traveling out of state to undergo the procedures. You see, this is confession by projection, but we're not the ones who've used that data, except for the production of something like a couple thousand donkeys or something like that, which really just showed that indeed you might actually have something to hide. But hey, if that's what it takes, again, to get you to realize you do have something to hide, I'm all for it. So there you go. So congratulations, Massachusetts. You have 2 possibly remotely sane bills. Now why don't you repeal that one so that I can throw away my jeans? I mean, really, I was down in, I think I was in like Alabama or something. I walked through a little town in Alabama and I look around and my Massachusetts good because I had jeans with holes in it and I had to throw them away. So I did it early in the morning under the cover of darkness. Let's throw the jeans in that municipal garbage can. Am I going to be tracked? I don't know. All right. So as Threads app thrives, experts warn of Meta's string of privacy violations. This is an interesting one. I've mentioned this before, and as the channel's TrueStream Media had mentioned in their white noise video, fascinating video, fascinating channel. And what they said is, we can come to the table with these facts and we can draw complete opposite meaning. So you get a left-wing group like The Guardian here, as the Threads app thrives. But we're going to see over from Not the Bee, Threads is basically dying. Which is it? Is it thriving or is it basically dying? Now, I know that Threads actually beat ChatGPT in the fastest downloaded app. It reached the 10,000 or the 10 million users and downloads of the app in only a couple of days. Complete record setting. But does that mean everybody's using it, especially since everyone who doesn't like it can't delete it or risk losing their Instagram account too? Very interesting. And so is it thriving like they're saying, or did they just have this massive jump of people jump at it and look at it and go, well, this is hot garbage, let's not use it. But then they can't delete it because deleting it puts your Instagram account in jeopardy as well. Or is it like other people have said, yeah, people are jumping onto it. A lot of people tried it and there's not a lot going on over there, especially since you can't be saucy. And what's the point of social media if you can't be saucy? I mean, really, you gotta be saucy on social media. Otherwise, there's no sauce. No one comes for it. It's flavorless. No one wants to go to an app where it's an echo chamber going, ha ha ha, because servers are stupid. Ha ha ha, people are stupid. Ha ha ha, this is stupid. Ha ha. That's what Threads has devolved into. There's no discourse. There's no debate. There's no anything as far as I've heard. Now, it's a meta app. I don't even know. I'm not going near that hot garbage. What, do you think I'm nuts? Of course not. But they do say in just a matter of days, the Threads new app has reached 100 million users, solidifying the Twitter competitor's claim to the title of the most rapidly downloaded app ever. I think it also wins that like U2 album award. If you guys remember when iPhone pushed a U2 album onto everybody's phone and they got an award for the fastest ever deleted album. You guys remember that? Like Threads is like in that. Sure, they had a lot of people jump on. I don't think a lot of people are over there. I don't know because I'm not over there myself. And frankly, I don't care. I have said this many times. I'm going to say it again here. Meta is a company whose address is one hacker way. I'm sorry, I am not using any service connecting my computer to a company with hacker in their address. It's not happening. Are we this stupid, really? I mean, come on. All right. Anyway, rapid growth has concerned privacy experts. Now, there is concern because this is Meta, and Meta collects, scrapes, harvests, and then uses that data to commit social experiments to see how depressed can we really make teenagers. Let's feed them nothing but garbage and see if they slip their wrists. Yikes! That is kind of crazy. All right. And so the whole point of this is that as Threads takes off allegedly, or is it dying off allegedly? I don't know. But as Threads takes off allegedly, tied to Meta, they collect more invasive data than anybody else. So it raises a lot of questions about what's going to be done with all of this data they are collecting. And so that raises a big question there. Of course, other news in Meta, H&R Block and other tax preparation firms sharing consumer data with Meta, lawmakers say. This is actually a report with the tribal leader Warren herself weighing in on this guy. So the idea here, of course, H&R Block and other web-based tax preparers, or you're going in, you're sitting at H&R Block with some nervous first year out of school person there trying to do your taxes, right? And they're filling in like you could do just as good of a job. If you just turn the computer on, you could do just as good of a job. Way back when I had student loan debt years back, and I'm in graduate school still, so all my student loan debt's all deferred. I'm still making payments on the interest. I'm like, she never puts in the amount of money that I paid on student loan debt, which is tax deductible. And I'm like, you didn't include this. Wait, why would I include it? It's tax deductible. Is it really? And you're doing my taxes? Wow, what a buffoon you are. But the idea here is that all of these out of the box, I'll call them like the Wix and Squarespace of accounting, right? They're just out of the box, simple solutions, low grade, no brain cells. Let's just get in, put up a website, Well, all of these sites apparently have Facebook tracking pixels in there. And that means every bit of data you input is being collected and sent back to Facebook. So Facebook now gets access to your name and all of your financials. Isn't this great? So lawmakers who include Indian Chief Elizabeth Warren, burnt out Sanders, and they say they investigated H&R Block, Tax Act, and Tax Slayer after a report in The Verge last year alleged the companies were using code that funneled data, including users' income and tax refunds, to Meta. Tax prep companies use the code called the Metapixel to send personal data to both Meta and Google and collected far more information than was previously reported, according to a letter sent by the lawmakers to the IRS, Federal Trade Commission, Treasury Department, and Justice Department, who probably quickly had a meeting with Mark Zuckerberg and walked out counting stacks of cash, and nothing is ever going to be done about it. But what can you do? Well, make sure that when you hire an accountant, they're not using this nonsense. See, I had a really good accountant. He retired. He passed all of his clients on to this new guy. The new guy's like, all right, guys, we're going to upload all your stuff to Dropbox. I'm like, the hell you are. I walked out of that guy's office really fast, found an accountant, and guess how I transmit my tax information to my accountant? My encrypted Nextcloud. That's what I do. I throw it up on my encrypted Nextcloud. I send him the link. He downloads it, unencrypts the file, and dude, we're good. I'm telling you. So just be wary if you got these guys coming in here and doing all this kind of stuff. That's kind of what's going on. All right, well, if you want to help support the channel, we do have a merch store. You can pick up a hat just like this one I'm wearing right here, or a coffee cup that's up front so I can't show it to you. We also have t-shirts, mouse pads, all sorts of fun stuff over there on shop.switchtolinux.com. You can jump on over here. You can get aliens in tinfoil hats. You can get cats in tinfoil hats. And you can even get baby onesies that'll scare your mother-in-law. We got coffee cups, we got water bottles, we got shopping bags with cats and tinfoil hats. All right, what is this thing? Dude, a recycled duffel bag? I've never seen that before. I might have to buy me one of those. Sounds sweet. So, these guys are like constantly adding new stuff. And actually, all the stuff I have is pretty good. I actually have my hoodie has survived 2 full years in van life. Here you go. Here's mouse pads. These tinfoil hat mouse pads. Sub to the cat, the human is crazy. Got some bags, all sorts of fun stuff. So you can head on over there, shop.switchedtolinux.com. And with that, we're going to jump on over to security news. And once again, it is a day ending in Y, and that means there is another WordPress breach. So this is the Woocommerce payments plugin. I forget exactly which payments plugin this is. Let's see if they have a link directly to the plugin itself. Of course they don't. Why would they possibly give us the direct link to the plugin? See, WooCommerce has hundreds of different payment plugins. I think this is the main one you buy from them. And the plugin you buy from them will allow you to accept a whole variety of different payment gateways out of the box. So there was a vulnerability allowing people to do an SQL injection. So that means that you could dump a bunch of data into one of the feeds and allow that data to be input into the database. And then once that is input into the database, you can run a side-loading code and execute the file from the database. And so this was marked as a very severe risk. Active in the wild, a CVSS score of 9.8. Note, 10 is the highest. Okay, like 10 is basically you're running Windows 95 on the internet without a firewall of any form. All right, this is like super up there. And then they do mention their versions 4.8.0 through 5.6.1 are vulnerable. So if you are using the WooCommerce Payments plugin, double check the version in your dashboard. If you have a version between those, then you have to update because this is actively being exploited in the wild. So be aware of that one. All right, next up, Docker Hub images found to expose secrets and private keys. Great. That's all we need. Like, Docker's like, pfft. I was trying to mess with BlendOS again today. I'm like, build a container for Debian. It's doing it through Docker. Are you kidding me? All right. Well, numerous Docker images shared on Docker's Hub are exposing sensitive data. Now, this is not your sensitive data as the end user. This is the sensitive data for the developer. Unfortunately, that allows people to do funny and quirky things like, push up a malicious version or things like that. What they found is 1 in 12 images contain sensitive information, private keys, API secret keys. To be precise, they found 52,107 private keys and 3,158 leaked API secrets as part of this. Now, what made this worse is that these are open source containers, so they got the software working, and then they just uploaded the container without wiping their data out of it, which is supposed to be, where you input your data, but all that stuff was still in there. So not as bad for the end user on a direct technical level, but very, very bad for the developers. So just be aware of that. There are some issues with Docker. That's why I'm not the reasons I'm not a huge fan of Docker. And TechRadar, thank you for the pop-up. All right, so TechRadar Pro, the business technology experts. Are these the guys that don't seem to understand technology? I don't know. Anyway, Android users are being tricked into installing malicious browser apps. So this is PWAs, Progressive Web Applications. So a PWA, if you are unaware, this is an application where you're running basically a website inside the container of a web browser. So on Linux Mint, for example, there is the new web app tool that is rolled out. There is Peppermint was known for the ICE applications, and then they promptly killed it. And But these are web APK technology being used to push malicious progressive web apps. So what happens is you go to a website and the website prompts you to download, and then the malware is getting loaded. So like the legitimate site is being loaded into a malicious copy of the browser, but the browser has already passed the check because it's installed and approved on your system. So it doesn't recognize that it's sideloading, because the way these are apparently working is they're being packaged together and just basically uploading another copy of your browser. Well, it's bringing in a malicious copy of it, not by going through a Play Store or an official repository, but through some other shady site. So this right now is being used to target the Polish bank, PKO Bank Polski. So in the text message, so they're getting a text message saying that the web application that they're using needs updated. They click the link in the text message. It takes them to the website. They're downloading a copy, and I cannot resist. You're going to have to forgive me for this one, but how many Polacks does it take to cause a malicious Android app? One, if he's dumb enough to click on the link. Okay, don't be dumb enough to click on the link. If you ever get a text message like, click here to update your app, don't do it. It's a trap. It's a trap. All right. So just be aware of that. Any of these PWAs that are side loading from weird places, don't click on those. That would be bad. Well, we do use affiliates here to help pay the bills. Today we are highlighting ProWritingAid. Of course, I just came off of a writers conference. Of course, I have to push ProWritingAid. I do use this as one of the pass edits, not the only pass edit I do, of course, but one of the pass edits when I'm doing books or stories or things like that. I'll always run it through ProWritingAid. It does a really good job of catching stuff up. They do have a free version if you want to try it out for free. You can do up to a 500 word check, 10 rephrases per day. There's grammar, spelling, punctuation. You can get a monthly or a lifetime subscription to it. So if you use my code tlm.li/PWA, this is going to save you 20%. And it's going to help support the channel. So you can go ahead and get this. If you're doing it billed yearly, it's $96. If you do monthly, it's $30. No discount on that. And the lifetime payment, one-time payment of $319, will give you all of the stuff that you need to make that work. So tlm.li/PWA if you have need of a good privacy-focused writing resource. And on up to AI. So up in our AI overlords have to say, well, we've all heard of ChatGPT, but have you heard of WormGPT? Probably not, and you're probably hoping you never get a chance to experience it. WormGPT is a generative artificial intelligence that can improve the capabilities of cybercriminals to launch sophisticated phishing attacks. Now, it's not like a worm, and like it is poorly named, because technically a worm, like a virus and a worm, are different. A virus is kind of like you can catch it. A worm goes through the internet actively poking and prodding at ports, going through every open available hole. So this does not do that. But what WormGPT is doing is it's going to run sophisticated phishing attacks against specific businesses, utilizing a variety of different systems. So it looks like it's going to be doing things like mailing lists, just email stuff, trying to click on links. And so basically it's just looking at the best ways and the best strategies and learning from its mistakes about how to compromise corporate systems. So that is the WormGPT case. And Meta, Meta, of course, we have already talked about and have established that their entire purpose is to collect as much data as they possibly can on everybody and everybody. So, of course, while ChatGPT has a very limited free version, you have to create an account, you have to pay them. Facebook's like, everyone can come in. Of course, we want that precious, precious new oil. that being your data. So Meta releases a new version of Llama. Llama 2 is and of course it's open source, and that's really the rub, right? This is a free and open source channel. I mean, we love open source. The problem is, yes, it is open source. Technically, you could use that and connect it to a different learning model database, but utilizing the methodology as you're doing it, you are utilizing their database. That means every time you're using it, you are feeding the Meta database. This thing is becoming like we were talking about Magic the Gathering before we actually started. It's becoming like some progenital ooze that keeps getting bigger with every use. And so with that being said, Facebook, or Meta, technically, they are releasing their Llama 2 AI model free for everyone. Everyone free. It's like the drug dealer approach. Everyone get free. Get addicted to it and give us all your stuff. That thing there needs to meet Winamp so we can kick its hiney. All right, so Meta's going all into the open source AI. The company today is unveiling Llama 2. I don't know. What's Llama make? I guess, right? Since OpenAI released a hugely popular AI chatbot, ChatGPT, last November, tech companies have been racing, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Google, Microsoft in the pace. Facebook appears to be in the slow lane, and then what they want to do is they want to catch up. So, of course, the reason ChatGPT was moving so much and Google is moving really fast right now is because they're cramming as much data into it as they possibly can, and we'll get into why this is a problem in a minute. Well, now Facebook's like, hey, let's bring this llama to the race. Big fat llama, eat big fat llama data. And so as big fat llama eats big fat llama data, then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, faster and faster and faster. And if you don't have like a paywall to interfere with people going in and giving you the data, then Meta is going to collect a whole lot more data, and it's going to become bigger, and then it's going to be feeding itself on your scrumptious ones and zeros. So there you have it, folks. There you have it. Under the hood, Llama 2 is getting ready to launch. Required a lot of tweaking to make the model safer. Yeah. All right. Well, Google is demoing an unsettling tool to help journalists write the news. That's right. Genesis will seek to assist journalists, not replace them yet. Yeah. All right. So, the idea here, Google's developed its tool to help the journalists. Of course, now they just feed a few small facts into it, and Genesis will just pump out some new articles for them. In fact, there was another one that just went, just saw it the other day, just today, in fact. Another one of the big journalist companies decided they were going to lay off all their staff and go entirely with AI. That's great. So basically, it is a tool for writing and for journalists, and I think ultimately their end is going to be to replace the journalists. So journalists, your jobs are not safe. This is what is coming in, but not to be undone as far as the writing. Our feature article today is the authors against AI. Now, at the writers' conference I was at, there was one seminar on AI, and the gentleman had a decent balanced view. He had a few good points about it, but he was also woefully ignorant on a lot of elements of AI. He did mention a few times where Bard, he mentioned it a couple times. Bard made up some things. Bard made up some facts. I'm sorry, Bard has not made up nothing compared to ChatGPT. Okay, Google is not being sued presently for its AI making defamatory statements. OpenAI is. That's ChatGPT. All right. ChatGPT is being used to cheat on a lot of systems. And what's sadder is that the employees, as we reported on the last news that we did, the employees who are supposed to be monitoring ChatGPT to make sure it's doing appropriate things have literally handed ChatGPT over to itself to analyze itself. Who is watching the AI? The AI is watching the AI. But what this article has to do with is this is authors. In fact, as this guy had all these amazing positive things to say about AI at a writers' conference, he did not mention anything about the open letters signed by more than 8,500 authors, fiction, nonfiction, poetry, the tech companies behind the large language model ChatGPT, Bard and Llama, and more are taken to the task for using their writing without permission or compensation. Now, the concern here is that the model can now mimic such writing. Now, it's one thing if you're mimicking Shakespeare's writing. All right, give me a story about a boy and a girl in a mall in Dallas, Texas, with the voice of Shakespeare. Okay, that would be a very fascinating thing to see, and Shakespeare's long dead. Public domain stuff, as far as I know. And so with that, sure, whatever happens, happens. The problem is that these AI language models are starting to adopt information and data from living authors who have not consented to give their data over, and now people can utilize their voice. You see, I found thinking about this because there's all these different Linux channels out there, and people like their different Linux channels, and you like them or don't like them because of their different personalities. Some people don't like that I don't drop F-bombs every couple of sentences. Other people like the fact I don't drop F-bombs every couple of sentences. And so really it's the personality of the people that you tend to be attracted to. Apparently I'm not as polished and suave as like the Linux Experiment, where everyone goes and watches all of his videos, or it's bots being advertised to. I'm not quite sure. But he does have some good and compelling content, but he and I have a completely different way of delivering stuff. I am loud and screaming and unhinged and crazy and lunatic, and I am a conservative weirdo, and, that's that. And he's calm and quiet and has an accent and is not a conservative. And so different people gravitate towards different things. The concern that the authors have is that the AI is being used to steal their voice. It's being used to steal their way of saying things. So if I have a certain writing style, and you've read my books enough to know what my certain writing style is, and you use AI and you plug those books into the AI and say, all right, write a book on this using this basic writing style, well, you basically have undercut the one thing that makes my writing distinct from someone else's. And that's really what the article is here. Now, they're saying we're not going to try and sue them over this because it's just expensive. It takes too long. But they are suggesting and throwing into the world that indeed, yes, the AI is causing a lot of problems. And the AI causing a lot of problems like this because it is hurting the authors where we are now. And that is a problematic thing. So that is really what is up here. The letter asks the companies to do the following. Number one, obtain permission for the use of our copyrighted material in your AI programs. Compensate writers fairly for the past and ongoing use of the works. And compensate writers fairly for the use of AI output. All right, let me tell you how this is going to work. And this is coming from my own royalty reports looking at my books. First is libraries. When I sell if I sell an ebook or an audiobook to a library, they're going to use that and they're going to lend that out for free. So when you look at the pricing, how ebooks and audiobooks are priced for libraries, they're priced usually 3 times more than the price of the book. So if a library has to pay more to get a copy of my book, but they don't have to pay for it every single time they lend it. But what then they do end up having to do is once they are lending it, now they're going to pay a royalty every time somebody gets out and uses it, but it's only to the tune of a few cents. So what this would look like with the AI is in order to get the information into the AI, you'd have to pay the writer, 3 or 5 times the price of the material. So if I'm listing my ebook at $5, you pay me somewhere between $15 and $25, and you can put this in your model. But then anytime that data of mine is used in the model, you're going to pay out a royalty, probably somewhere between 5 and 10 cents. So this way, the author is getting compensated. If people really are loving my voice and they want to spit out book after book after book, at least I'm getting paid for my style and I'm getting paid for each time somebody happens to do that. That is a very reasonable thing to ask from a tech company whose entire product relies on information that they have grabbed from somewhere else. So that is what my thought is on there. Let me know what your thoughts are before we jump on over to our next topic. But we do want to transition with our affiliates. Of course, we're highlighting my supporters page here on Locals. SwitchedToLinux.locals.com. So you can jump on over there to SwitchedToLinux.locals.com, join in the community over there. There is some free content, there is some paid content as well. And with that, we will jump on over to business news. First up in business, the Microsoft is victorious over the FTC in the lawsuit to block Activision Blizzard buy. So now Activision, which merged with Blizzard, is now becoming one with Microsoft. Yeah, this is kind of starting to look like the giant monopolies are starting to take over again. Of course, with Windows 11 embedding Edge into everything, you can't even get rid of it properly anymore. That's always exciting. And so with that, federal judge says FTC has failed to prove Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard would be anti-competitive, and because of it, the UK is now pausing its own appeal on the matter. San Francisco-based judge Jacqueline Scott Corley has ruled U.S. Federal Trade Commission was unlikely to be okay, we're talking about spelling errors in the comments here. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission was unlikely to be prove that the proposed acquisition or merger was substantially less than competitive. Okay, apparently we have ChatGPT is writing Apple Insider now too, right? I'm very happy that it was unlikely to be proved. Really. In sum, the FTC has not shown likelihood of success on the theory of a merger may substantially lessen the competition in Gen 9 console market because of the combined firm will have the ability and incentive to foreclose Call of Duty from PlayStation. So, of course, they will do that. It's Microsoft. Embrace, extend, extinguish. Okay? This has always been their plan. Netflix kills the basic plan. The cheapest now, the cheapest plan is $15.49, which it's cheapest ad-free. If you already have the $9.99 basic plan, you can keep it. So if you're already paying the $10 a month, you can keep the $10 a month. But no more. They're scrapping some more from you. So Netflix plan, standard with ads. There's a basic, there's a standard, and then there's a premium. Pricing standard with ads is $6.99 a month. I think that's the one that's dying, I guess. There's a basic $9.99, or is it? I don't even know anymore. I have no idea. If you're still on Netflix, why? But can you explain this to me? So I think this is just the ad-free version. So now the cheapest ad-free version is now $15.99 a month, if I'm interpreting that correctly. So choose plan right from you. New subscribers will have 3 options. Okay, yeah. So you can get it with ads for $7. You can get it standard for $15.49. You can get the premium for $19. Of course, video quality, the best. What's the best? 4K plus HDR? Yeah, that's better than most people can actually see. So not all that useful, but, there you have it. There's that. And finally, Tutanota is starting to work on post-quantum secure cloud. This is a company that's really on top of things. Rather than waiting for quantum computers to jump up and become mainstream, they're already working on ways to protect their encrypted solutions from the quantum computers. Obviously, it's going to be a large work in progress, but they aim to offer the first end-to-end encrypted cloud solution, which would be secure against the quantum computers. So even though the quantum computers are in some time away, it has already been widely accepted that quantum computing will make current encryption standards obsolete, as they can crack them effortlessly. And Tutanota is probably the first to focus on post-quantum security for their emails and other upcoming services. So the new PQ Drive project is all about that. It is to prevent quantum computers from breaking the encryption of the files. So there you have it. You have a possible solution. If you're that worried about it, you can look into the services that they have to offer. I tested out their email at one point in time. I found it was overly complicated, so it's not one that I found that your average user would probably be likely to adopt. And for me, I'm not really inclined to do anything super secure over email anyway. So it wasn't the product for me, but I don't know if we're worried about transmitting data in this world. This might actually be a direction we might consider taking. So there's our business section. If you want to help support the channel, we do have a affiliate link here with DigitalOcean. They're giving us the information on the pop-up now. Use my affiliate code tlm.li/DOH. You'll get $200 in credit, good for 60 days to try out as many of those cloud servers as you want to give them a try. You might say, oh, I don't need a cloud. I should avoid the cloud. This is true, but you might need something like a private VPN. You might want some private storage. You might want to run a Jellyfin server or a Nextcloud server or something like that you have a lot more control over. And with DigitalOcean, you can use that. tlm.li/DOH is going to get you your credit to test out a new cloud server. So I've been using them with some of my test servers lately, really liking what I'm seeing there. And with that, let's go ahead and jump on over to SillyVille, your favorite place and mine. First up in SillyVille, of course, we always have to start with something hilarious that's not necessarily tech-related, and I love this one. Hong Kongers are urged to stare at smokers in a disapproving way to help to create a tobacco-free city. You're lighting up a cigarette. Okay, then. Very good. Very glad about this. Professor Lo Chu-mei, the territory's health minister, said someone who lit up in a restaurant would be unlikely to hit back if everyone stared at them. Just like, this is like, talk about awkward, yeah. So, people in Hong Kong should stare at smokers disapprovingly as part of the effort to create a tobacco-free city. So there you have it. Next time somebody lights up a smoke in front of you, just stare at them awkwardly. And on to the tech-related SillyVille. An email typo has reportedly sent millions of U.S. military messages to Mali. Whoops. The risk is real and could be exploited by adversaries of the U.S., warned a Dutch whistleblower who discovered them. So a typo reportedly routed millions of U.S. military emails, some containing highly sensitive information, to Mali. The problem stems from entering .ml instead of .mil for the receiving email address domain, as reported by the Financial Times. While one-letter mistake often has exposed data like diplomatic documents, tax returns, passwords. Who's sending your passwords over email? My Lord. And travel details of top officers, and much more. Although the misdirected emails have so far landed with a contractor tasked with managing Mali's country domain, control of .ml will soon revert to Mali's government, which has ties to Russia. Great. Trust me, they're not doing this accidentally. It's on purpose. Does Russia have those emails yet? I don't know. Let's send another one, sir. Great. So basically it's just a typo leak, typing in the wrong email, and there you have it. That's exciting. All right, nobody wants to use Threads, so Zuckerberg had the bright idea to implement a strict rate limit on activity. Last week when we discovered that nobody was interested in Facebook's boring, unimportant rate. See, this is, again, we talked about this earlier in the show. Guardian sitting there saying, it's so fast, it's taking over and Twitter's going to die. And these guys are heavy going, yeah, nobody's using it. I don't know the answer. I don't know. I haven't a clue. Don't care. So according to what these guys are saying, it's really not being used, but I don't know. I haven't looked at the raw data. Threads is making big changes as it continues to grow exponentially as an alternative to Twitter. Instagram boss Adam Mosseri took to the microblogging platform to announce that they would be implementing rate limiting to combat bots. See, that's all the usage over there right now is just a bunch of bots. Spam attacks have picked up, so we're going to have to get tighter on things like rate limits, which is going to mean more unintentionally limiting active people, false positives, he said. If you get caught up in these protections, let us know. Yep. We limit how often you can do certain things on Threads, like following people to protect our community. Great. Seems oppressive. Of course, Twitter is already very popular and can pretty easily absorb that kind of regulation. Not that Twitter's doing anything any better. Not that Twitter's doing anything any better. They both need to burn. Well, Fable is a new program Fable is the company unveiling the application. Showrunner AI allows you to create South Park-like TV shows with you as the star. That sounds great. So let's see. Fable, San Francisco startup running a big project dubbed The Simulation, has released a showrunner AI technology dubbed Show 1, which can generate new episodes of TV shows with you as the star. Another big step for generative AI, which has been on the tear for the last 6 months, and the timing is interesting considering both writers and actors are on strike in Hollywood. So, of course, what they're mostly striking on is Hollywood wants to pay the actor for one day, come in, do a few shots, and then utilize AI to replicate that actor everywhere else they need the actor. Basically, cutting their costs down to almost nothing. Sounds great. So this is going to do basically the same thing. So Elon Musk's Secret War, Southpark Simulation AI. I'm going to mute that. It looks pretty decent. So we'll have to watch that sometime without when we can actually play it without risking of copyright strikes of either the real thing or the fake thing. I don't know. So it says the simulation up there at the top, but who knows? But anyway, you can go ahead and play around with that, I guess, if you want. Links, of course, are always in the description of the video. And our final article today is Google has this new plan for security at its company. The new security plan bans employees from accessing the internet. Google, the internet company, banning their employees from using the internet. Gotcha. Sounds great. Of course, that's dangerous to use the internet. You could get malware or phishing and all these kinds of things. Of course, there's some people that have to connect to the internet. And all of the emails, of course, are going to be going through all their filters and stuff. I just kind of find it funny that a company like Google is sitting here like, everyone get on the internet. Everyone use our services. Everyone use our service to log into this, that, and everything else out there in the sun. Everyone get on our services. Our services are the best. Our services are everywhere. Except our employees. You're not allowed to use our services. That's risky, dude. They did the same with AI. We reported that on a couple weeks ago, right? They literally told their employees, don't be feeding anything into AI. It's too dangerous. Great that they want to push it on all of us, but for all of them, not really. You see, guys, this is kind of a world that we need to think twice about. Well, we're going to wrap the show up right there. Thank you for watching. You can help support the channel over on Subscribestar. Subscribestar.com/switched-to-Linux. Jump on over there. Help support the channel. With that, thank you for watching, and we will see you all next time. Thank you for watching this video from Switched-to-Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.